everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today's video is a reading recap of everything I read in April. So without further ado, let's get started. The first book I'm talking about I actually don't have with me. I borrowed it from a friend and I returned it to her before I could film this video. But it is Archangel's Legion by Nalini Singh. Off the top of my head, I believe I gave this one a 3.75. It was good, it wasn't great. I do struggle with the Guild Hunter series a little bit on and off. Some of the books are really great and some of them are average, and unfortunately I would say Archangel's Legion is average. Thankfully, its saving grace is that it is Elena and Raphael, the pairing of this book. So that was pretty much all that saved it, because I do love the two of them. Not my favorite in the series though. Not bad, not great. The second book, which I don't have with me, is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I listened to this on audio and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think the main reason I didn't get full enjoyment out of this book was because of the narration that I picked. I simply picked a audiobook that was on YouTube where all the episodes were available, which are actually few and far between. And I don't know if it was because it was a female narrator and all the characters are male. Well, the majority of the characters are male. It's harder to get into. So I listened to the version narrated by Natalie Kendall, and I think she did a pretty good job. Especially, she was amazing when it came to singing the song. She's a great singer. So that was a plus, but I think her reading might have been a little bit too ASMR-ish, so it was easier for my mind to disengage. So I didn't enjoy Lord of the Rings as much as I enjoyed The Hobbit, but I'm gonna give it another go in the future and I'll see if my rating changes. Apologies for the beanbag sounds, by the way, but this is where I like to sit. Okay, so the first book that I physically have with me that I finished this month was Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. I gave this a 5 stars. I actually really enjoyed it. I was quite scared going into this because I had heard about a particular scene with a knife handle. If you know, you know. And I was a bit intimidated, I'm not gonna lie to you. Look, I've read all sorts of fan fiction, but reading about that sort of stuff in published fiction is a little bit different. So I was kind of apprehensive going into this, but I actually really liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a very easy read. Surprisingly fun, really, considering the themes of this. This is a dark mafia romance. Anyone who has read this would know that, like, Diesel is the coolest character. He is so unhinged, but you like love him by the end of it, despite the fact that he's completely crazy. Other than him, my favorite characters were Ryder and Kenzo, which is kind of unfortunate because I wish we got more of those guys. I still didn't truly feel like I knew Kenzo by the end of it, and I would have liked to see a little bit more of Ryder. So yes, dark mafia romance. Why choose? 5 stars. The next book I read was A Kingdom of Blood and Betrayal by Holly Renee. This is the second book in her Stars and Shadows series. I gave this a 5 star. This one and the first book were so good. I just ate them up. They are so easy to read. I absolutely love the relationship between Adara and Evren. Evren is like a book boyfriend. So this one is essentially like Adara and Evren trying to overcome the challenge to their relationship that came at the end of the first book. So that's sort of the core struggle of this one. They do make up, but then something happens and Adara has to leave. Yeah, this was just really good, solid book, fun time, easy read, really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Oh, by the way, this series is romantasy. So the next book I read was Archangel Shadows by Nalini Singh. I gave this a 4 out of 5. This is the story of Ashwini and Janvier. I liked it. It was sweet, it was solid. I really like Janvier as a male main character. He is a bit different to the other male main characters in the series. Like, he's genuinely a nice guy. He doesn't really have the tragic backstory that all the other male main characters in this series have. He's just nice. Ashwini's conflict, I wasn't like crazy about it. The whole her gift and like what that means for the women in their family. I really wasn't crazy about that. There were some really sad scenes in this book though, but it was solid. I enjoyed it. Don't have any major complaints, just wasn't really fully for me. So 4 out of 5. By far the best book I read this month is Temple of the Winds by Terry Goodkind. In my opinion, Terry Goodkind can literally do no wrong. There has not been a book of his that I haven't rated 5 stars yet. I am obsessed with the Sword of Truth series, and if I could force everyone to read it, I would. Oh, where do I even begin with Temple of the Winds? The first part of this book, I thought it was a bit slow. So the main issue in this one is that there is a plague, so this is a lot of politicking, which I really enjoy in my fantasy, and then obviously the plague dilemma, trying to resolve that, see what they can do. There are children dying. I was enjoying it but not obsessed with it until towards the end of the book, where Richard and Kaelin have to do something in particular to get to the Temple of the Wind so that they can rectify this plague issue. And oh boy, there's also a really graphic torture scene in here that is crazy. Terry Goodkind writes crazy, literally batshit disgusting villains, and I love it. And my ultimate highlight of this book was that Richard and Kaelin finally got married at the very, very end. Spoilers, but anyone who has been watching my videos knows I've been hanging out for Richard and Kaelin to get married for a long ass time now, so I'm glad they finally did in this one. 5 stars. This is an adult fantasy. For book club, I read The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This was really good. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. This was different to the stuff I've been reading lately. This is something I would have loved to read when I was a teenager, and I wish I had have. This was like the Goodreads Choice winner of 2015, I'm pretty sure, which is like right on par with when this book would have just been perfect. So this is young adult, unlike most of the things I read, but it's really, really good. It's a dystopian fantasy. If you liked Divergent, The Hunger Games, Maze Runner, Matched, all that sort of thing, then you would love this. I really, really enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect. I wasn't always crazy about our main character, and I wasn't always even crazy about the side characters. In fact, most of the side characters I didn't particularly care for, but I don't know, it's just like nostalgic in a way for something that I would have just adored when I was like 14, 15 years old. Essentially, the gist of this is that there are silvers and reds that denotes the color of their blood basically, and silvers have special abilities, and so they rule society and they oppress the reds. And there is our main character is a red girl who discovers that she has power she probably shouldn't have, or that she definitely shouldn't have as a red, and she has to be close to the royal family so they can watch over her. At the same time, there is an uprising and a rebel group, and it's a really intriguing premise. So I might actually end up reading the next one, but I'm not quite sure yet. 4.5. Then another Guild Hunter novel. This is Archangel's Enigma. So the couple in this was Nasir and Andromeda. This was my second favorite Guild Hunter novel so far. My favorite is Archangel's Blade, which is Dimitri and Honor. They have like in that one, it's like a reincarnation trope. It's so emotive and I adored it. I really thought at first that this was going to overtake that one as my favorite, just because Nasir as a male main character is just so, he's easily my favorite by far. By far, Nasir is my favorite male main character in this series. And I love Andromeda. She's probably my second favorite FMCU to Elena. I really, really thought this was going to blow Blade out of the water in terms of being my favorite. Unfortunately, Nalini Singh writes smut, but I would never say she's good at it. But with, like, so for example, in Blade, the tension between Dimitri and Honor is so high that it makes the smut good even though it's not technically good. Whereas this, they build up so much tension, and then when they finally get together, it was really not what I was expecting to be, especially not because of the nature of their flirting. I kind of thought it would be a little bit more animalistic, a little bit different, and not so vanilla. So that was like a major letdown. It was so close to being a 5 for me. If not for that, it would have been a 5, but I gave it a 4.75 stars. Then I read A Kingdom of Venom and Vows, which is the 3rd Stars and Shadows book in the series. this was the only one I didn't rate a 5. At first, I was desperately trying to make it a 5 in my mind. I originally rated it 4.75, and then upon writing my review of the book for my Instagram, as I was writing out the things I didn't like it, I literally had no choice really but to drop my star rating to a 4. It was just not as good. The beginning was really good, where Adara is stuck in a situation and is trying to get out of it and she's having some struggles. That bit is really good. And then when she's reunited with Everin in the middle, all they do is bang, which is okay, I guess, but Holly Renee, her smut writing really dropped off in this one. I don't know if it was just because the scenes were back to back to back to back, like 4 or 5 literally in a row, where I realized she uses the same terminology all the time. Like I'm serious, if I had to read the word nub to describe a particular area of a woman one more time, I was going to lose my mind. And also, like, the way they were doing it each time was like the same. I just wanted it to, if they were gonna have like 4 or 5 scenes in a row, I think they should have been shaken up. And then I felt like because there was so much of that, it wasted time that could really have been spent extending the final battle and making it a little bit more significant, because in the end it didn't even feel, I enjoyed the final battle, it did not feel significant. It wasn't long enough. This, despite feeling the heaviest and looking the thickest, this is the shortest book in the series. And I don't think it needed to be longer, but I think there needed to be a little bit of reevaluation about what should have been important, which is a shame because I love Adara and Everin. I loved some of their scenes in this book where they weren't doing it, but unfortunately just the smut was far too repetitive. It was just not for me this time. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Finally, I read All He'll Ever Be by Willow Winters. Unfortunately, as I was reading it, the gold foiling, excuse my lipstick swatch, the gold foiling on the front started coming off. I don't really know why. I don't know if it was from the friction of my hands or what, but I'm a little bit sad about that. Oh, it's even coming off on the back as well. It must definitely be from like the oil of my hands or whatever. So this is another mafia dark romance. It is Beauty and the Beast inspired. I really liked this. I gave it a 4.75 out of 5. It was not quite perfect just because I have like one gripe. So my one gripe with this book is that in the beginning, where the characters are like more or less introducing themselves, it reads like Wattpad, and it freaked me out. I literally, thank God I kept giving the book a chance, but for a minute there I was like, if the writing's all gonna be like this, I don't know how I'm gonna finish this book. Thankfully, it's not all like that. Aside from the Wattpaddery in the beginning, it is really good. It did not go the way I was expecting it to, but that's a good thing. I was expecting this to kind of be like Den of Vipers, where the girl gets captured in the beginning and then, you know, she eventually embraces the lifestyle and then she's like into the mafia stuff as well. This was not like that, which was doubly surprising because our main character, Aria, was raised in a mafia family. So it was surprising to me that it didn't sort of go that way, but I really liked it for what it was. I liked that I could never actually predict what was going to happen. So this is 4 books in one, and in each book I would go into it thinking I know what's going to happen in it, and I was wrong with like every single prediction I had. Oh, I do have one other gripe. My one other gripe is that the miscommunication trope, or the deliberately withholding information for no good reason trope, is way overused. There was plenty enough to create conflict between Aria and Carter, our main characters, that they did not need to keep doing the miscommunication, withholding truths trope. It was not necessary. There was plenty going on to cause conflict in their relationship, and that was just like an added thing for no reason. I wouldn't mind it one time, but it felt like it was happening quite a bit. I could forgive it though. But yeah, I liked it. 4.75, I had a great time. You know, it's a long book, but I got through it pretty quickly. There's also some really beautiful art in here. especially in the final book, Endless. I'll just find some to show you. Look at that. I just thought it was really nice. The artists who put their art in this book did a really excellent job. So yeah, that is it. That is everything I read in the month of April. Thankfully, I finished everything I put on my April TBR, so that was super exciting. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you maybe got some ideas for books you might like to read in the future. Let me know what you think below, and let me know how many books you finished in the month of April and what you read, if you read anything you thought I might like. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye.